Hello there, my name is Richard. Look at the Kabal Animation. Today we talk about Zero the Hero, the evolution of Sunblast development in the villain series. In fact, Sunblast is probably the best development of all for right now. It's one of those, it's just sort of amazing how he evolved to a crappy type of hero to a good man. Now, it make it sort of interesting. White Peace chose Sunblast become my hero. What was the sort of kind of test? Because in the first pilot episode, you do notice that he's sort of very egotistical, very self-centered, and he knows what he's doing is sort of very questionable. Because for Noble at that point tempted to explain her dilemma, a true hero would stop and actually listen and maybe figure out a different way to solve the situation. But Samples denies that sort of revolution. He denies everything what someone trying to tell him, because how he spoke to him, he just need to bear up every single day just to get praise, and that's all he wants. That sort of pleasure, that sort of kind of evil seed he has in his own soul, that he wasn't even a hero, he automatically became a villain. But yet gives a lot of question why Peace, the organization, allows this. But later on, we see the episode Phenomena calls Black Hack Organization to deal with Sunblast, and Dementia humiliates him because of his own strength, how she easily beat him up. And on top of this, Dr. Fleck humiliates him intelligently, how he belittles him, instructs him. So they basically metaphor taking his own ego away. That at the very end, he's nothing. This is the reason why he's sort of small and shrunk. Very funny episode, but at the same time has a great kind of metaphor. On top of all this, Dementia sort of ate him just to sort of points out how pathetic, easy way to destroy. Of course, nobody knows how Sunblast escaped Dementia's sort of stomach, but at the same time, I guess everybody knows, but don't want to admit where, how he gets out. Of course, there is a theory what everything Dementia eats escapes straight to her own hair for some apparent reason, and nobody knows why that actually happened. But that's a completely different theory. But besides that, Black Hack Organization sort of lied what happened to Sunblast, giving us kind of fake sort of light bulb and given to Phenomena. Some apparent reason Phenomena falls for it, till a couple of weeks later she noticed. Now, this information I'm about to tell you is straight from Phenomena's Instagram account, and there the story continues. A couple of weeks later, they actually send Sunblast back to Phenomena in a box, and there's the whole point with Phenomena attempted to experiment with Sunblast to cure her own illness and her own people who have the similar illness to her. But the experiment sort of fails, and this is the point where Sunblast started to realize what actually going on besides himself. He's starting to understand, we're starting to read some of the news articles around Phenomena's sort of laboratory, understanding how her illness affects him and her people who have similar illness to her. He started to understand this is so much bigger than actually him. Slowly and steadily, Sunblast sort of agrees to actually help Sunblast. Of course, he's still sort of not sure in himself to want to do this, but in the end he actually does. A few attempts later, the machine's sort of broken down once again and decided to take a small break till some Phenomena returns with a mouse named Cutie. This is the first time Sunblast actually met Cutie. You see sort of the relationship sort of blossom after that. You see several photos of Sunblast sort of messing and bullying Cutie, not yet fully developed the relationship. Seems that Cutie got tired and ran away. It's almost feel that Sunblast need to be sort of high and mighty, need to push someone around to feel sort of important. Of course, at this point, Cutie decided to run away because Cutie was sort of tired of Sunblast sort of bullying. Of course, Sunblast and Phenomena went to find Cutie what actually happened to her and bring her back. He also Phenomena tried to convince Sunblast to be more friendly and ask forgiveness the thing he did to Cutie. To the very end, see him sort of develop, started to be less narcissistic more understanding. Of course, sort of baby steps, getting closer to the goal of Sunblast. But everything else, Thunderbird sort of convinced Sunblast officially to actually help out her main illness and figure out how to use the machine using his abilities. At the same time, Sunblast sort of begrudgingly, but you see he actually is kind of trying. The reason he's sort of accepting this is because if he helped Penumbra, she will help Sunblast to get his normal size. So yeah, that's what I mean. Sort of trying. Of course, later on, Sunblast find out the city he protected now trying to replace him with a new hero or heroine. During this time, Sunblast started wondering what's actually going on in that town. Second, later on, you find out there was sort of a competition who replaced Sunblast. Whoever won was basically Missy. Let's face it, she bought the judges because she sort of admits this in the little spin-off series called Little Rescue. She slightly sort of talking to someone, one of her henchmen. She sort of briefly mentioned that she wants to win a certain competition and she just bought the judges something to make sure she win. Yeah, 100% sure she did the same thing of this competition. There's a reason why Sunblast sort of despised Missy. We feel he was sort of thrown away. In fact, he was sort of given a kind of tantrum when he actually find out who will replace it will be Missy. And sort of freaking out, destroying the laptop he was using to see the competition. After Missy took over Sunblast's hometown, her first order of business is taking down Penumbra because she is supposedly to her the main threat of the city. Penumbra wanted to fight back to protect her and her people, but at the very end she decided to run away with Sunblast, trying to figure out how to get out of it. He also figured out how to get the cure using Sunblast, but unfortunately she was captured by Missy, brainwashed and served her whatever Missy wanted of her. During this time, Sunblast went back to his home laboratory and picked up supplies and went to the hunt to find Penumbra and stop Missy. Of course, this time we gotta talk about the miniseries of Little Rescue. This miniseries sort of explains what happened in the background in the final episode of Villainous, because there are some scenes you see Sunblast and Cutie passing around in some of the crowds. In the comic, sort of explains the certain moments they appear on the show, the moments that sort of show you all the gaps, where their point of view were when Dr. Flood went down the ship, where Dr. Flood defeated Missy, and what destroyed Missy. In between those gaps, you see Sunblast sort of figuring out how to get to Penumbra. Of course, it's sort of interesting, all the adventure of this miniseries. You have Dr. Moss Jr. who saved them and points a lot of mistakes of Sunblast does, like stop being sort of egotistical. You're not the only one who attempt to save Penumbra. That's another good point with Sunblast, one of his enemies, told him off how he feels about him. The fact you sort of selfish, the reason why he turned sort of this lizard creature. And the third most interesting thing of this miniseries, that in fact you see not once but twice Sunblast sort of breaking down. The first one, he sort of admitted it was all his fault. The situation that Penumbra sort of left through. It's something just sort of broke him for a second, but he needed to keep moving forward because he is in the time limit. So he kind of forces him to keep moving forward and rechange him. Sort of understand he needs to be changed. The second moment he sort of broke down is sort of the first time he's met Penumbra, when he tried and attempted to save her, not realizing Penumbra is fully kind of brainwashed. But the only reason why he sort of broke down is the fact he didn't want to hurt her. He didn't want to reserve violence like last time, because this is the reason why she became more evil, why she was used by Penumbra, because he used violence and he decided to stop. He decided to not fight. He broke down, cried, asked forgiveness. In fact, if Penumbra wanted to destroy him, he was literally okay if she did. This was the point that Penumbra's spell was sort of broken and she completely went free and quickly saved Sunblast and Cutie and get out of the situation they really were. Of course, a couple of weeks later, they were hidden in a new lair, safely and calmly celebrating their sort of freedom, and Sunblast truly admitting forgiveness and change that he actually really wanted to actually save for her illness and her people, willing to use his special abilities and forgetting to be told once again just to make Phenomenal happy. And that's what we call character development, because Sunblast became, no, not became, he was reborn as a true hero, understanding his mistakes and becoming better. And that's the reason why that Sunblast became a zero to a hero, because he actually became the hero that people needed. Of course, how you feel about this sort of development of Sunblast? Let's face it, to the very beginning to the very end, he was sort of the most hated. Now he became the most beloved character of Villainous show, because Sunblast earned and actually took their time to develop Sunblast, becoming someone you should actually care about, to see someone to change and become a better person. On top of all this, that was sort of this miniseries. If you want to read this miniseries, it is in Mexican Cartoon Network, or you can find it online on Facebook. Just put Villainous Comic. You probably find it there. But besides that, how you felt about Sunblast? Do you like it? Do you hate it? Tell me down below. Let me know you like the development. Honestly, I did. I really can't say much. Just thank you for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and have a wonderful day. Bye.